Part 3.
Vertical gardening. You will hear two students discussing a new trend in landscape design called vertical gardening. Before you listen, you have 30 seconds to read questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Marina. How are you?
Fine, David, but this assignment's taking longer than I'd hoped.
Yes, it's quite detailed.
Designing two small vertical gardens doesn't seem too hard, but there is so much stuff online about large-scale projects that reads like propaganda.
I know what you mean. Vertical gardening is flavor of the month, when all it amounts to is growing plants on surfaces not used in the past.
Tricky surfaces at that.
Yes, walls do present challenges.
Vertical gardening is popular in warm climates, and where there's cash to spare. I can't see people in my country adopting it, or indeed anyone who doesn't own their own home. All that construction effort, then watering your plants 5 times a day. However would you transport your wall if you moved?
We should certainly include your concerns at the end of our presentation when we assess whether vertical gardening will become a design fundamental or remain a passing fad.
Okay. How are we going to divide up the presentation? I'm happy to do the second part.
Our domestic designs?
Yes, I'm afraid I can't get interested in the large-scale works, like the wall at the Caixa Forum Museum in Madrid. They seem gratuitous to me.
Don't worry, I'll comment on them. However, I do think the vertical garden in the Rue d'Alsace in Paris is amazing. It's like having a vast mossy forest floor stood up on its side amidst all the concrete and tar seal.
So we just need to work on the first part together, the history of the movement and the reasons for its growth. I read that a French botanist, Patrick Blanc, invented vertical gardening in 2008.
And I read that he got the idea from tropical rainforests in Malaysia, where plants grow at any height, and their superficial root systems don't need any soil.
Still, I don't understand why the movement took off, and companies from Sydney to Tokyo commissioned him to cover walls with plants, especially when the walls need so much watering.
I suppose businesses want to show how green they are.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 26 to 30.
So how do you build a vertical garden?
The principle is quite simple. Firstly, you need a wall, either the wall of a building or a boundary wall. This is called a supporting wall. Vertical wooden buttons and a PVC panel are secured to it. Currently, Japan is the only country where PVC is recyclable, meaning elsewhere vertical gardens are not environmentally friendly inside.
What happens after the PVC panel is in place?
Irrigation piping and 2 layers of matting are attached. The matting is made from felt or woven plastic that lasts a long time outdoors, but it can't be recycled either.
Speaking about recycling, unless it comes off a nearby roof, the great amount of water needed to keep the wall growing seems like the biggest drawback to me, especially when watering 5 times a day, as you mentioned.
In a tropical rainforest, there is plenty of water, but not so in downtown Paris. Also, Parisian water has few nutrients, so the amount of fertilizer for vertical gardens is high. 0.4 grams of macronutrients and 0.2 milliliters of trace elements per liter of water. If a designer can ensure the fertilizer is absorbed by the plants or drains into a fish pond, that's okay. But if it goes into the main water supply, which I bet it does most of the time, it just adds to pollution.
Good point. How exactly do the plants grow?
They sprout from slots cut into the matting.
What are your designs?
One is a mosquito repellent wall containing scented plants that drive mosquitoes away. The other is a culinary wall with herbs, salad plants, and strawberries.
Sounds delicious.
Personally, I would be happier planting my veggies in pots on the balcony.
Perhaps, but I do find the giant vertical gardens in Madrid and Paris inspiring. Once obstacles like the plastic components and frequent irrigation are overcome, vertical gardening will be an aesthetic and environmental achievement. I'm not sure the whole world will take it up, but richer countries could well do so.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3.